Hello, everyone. Thank you for attending my session. Actually, this is the first session for KSA, Oracle User Group, as events. So let's start. Today, I'm going to talk actually about automate Oracle using DevOps tools, which is Ansible and Terraform. So generally, we're going to talk actually in deep about Ansible and Terraform. In general, I'm gonna go quick in this actually because I think the presentation will need a lot of time actually for the presentation. I'm the founder and CEO of Goro Solution, leader or group for Jordan Amman Oracle User Group. Oracle is Director Certified Cloud Automation Lover, start as a DBA and now working with different databases. Author of two books and the presenter and contributor in Oracle community, published different articles in different magazine and the blogger. The two books, Oracle Penetration Testing and Oracle Database Application Security. What are we gonna talk today? I'm gonna talk in general about the DevOps. What is the DevOps? Why I have to use DevOps and when I need to use DevOps. How DevOps will make your life much easier, especially the DBA life. Automation examples using Terraform and Ansible, and which when I'm gonna use Ansible and when I'm gonna use Terraform. And then we're gonna go actually question to answer. And if you have any answer or a question, you can drop it in the chat box. So in general, like the concept of the DevOps, it's development related to the development or refer to the development and operation. It's like enterprise software development used to mean a type of the agile relation between the development department and the IT operation. There is always a gap between these two departments. So the DevOps came actually to solve all of this. The goal of the DevOps is change and improve the relationship by these two departments to make let's say a better communication between these two business units. This is about in general the DevOps. When the DevOps concept has been started with the first computer programming language. It's not new. The concept itself is not new. It's started at 1957, created as the first developer job in 1967 by a company called ARPANET, which is the company that related about the internet or the basis of the internet. A network engineer of the job and network operation center were created for this company. The concept disappeared till 2003. 2003, Google hired someone actually to lead the first something called SRE, which is someone responsible about to maintain the production, environment and separate, for example, from the development environment. The job for this person was responsible about to maintain a high uptime for the production, 99.9, while working, for example, with the developer to ensure the operation on the production will run smoothly. After this, in 2009, in the Flickr company, actually, they attempt to solve something called finger pointing problem between the developer and the operation. So they merge the concept, between development and operation, and they create something called DevOps for the first time. The solution actually has been released to the public, when the company actually created a conference locally in the country, to integrate between the development and operation into the automated infrastructure. Later, in 2090, an engineer came called in Belgium actually called Dipso in a small conference introduced actually the agile system administration. And start creating actually a hashtag, on the Twitter, as you can see, called DevOps on the social media, and it has been spreading all over the world actually related to this concept. As I already mentioned, it's merging between the development and between the operation tasks. In traditional model for between the development and the operation, Okay, in most cases, one team actually lack the visibility or insight into the other. For example, if the development needs something from the operation, they have to go actually or sending the email, which is gonna take a lot of time. Okay, like till you're gonna agree on the approach, how we gonna this. For example, let's imagine like you're gonna create server, okay, and the development needs a server from the operation. So you will send an email, and the email will go to the operation until you're gonna get the approval. This actually will take a lot of time, okay, and consume a lot of time in the project, and gonna like make a lot of issue between the both two business units. With DevOps, actually, it tend to be cross-functional mode of working in the model software development. So it's like concern about a different thing, okay, and it has intersect between a different department. So in case, for example, when the development team submit a request, the cycle time is necessarily, for example, extended to the required communication. So the development and the operation, they are both responsible about what they are doing. And as you see here from actually the graph, the operation usually responsible about the deployment, operation, and monitor the application. The development responsible about the coding, building, and testing, and both intersect between the plan and the release. The DevOps actually merge all of this in one. As a DBA, why I should actually use DevOps, or why should I learn, for example, new skills for the DevOps? First of all, it's a speed deployment process. Any organization are speeding too much time with manual process around the testing and deploying software. DevOps can automate all of these tasks for you, okay, and improve the quality, because you're gonna focus actually on the quality. Enable fast response also. This, for example, like let's assume that only just 17% of the IT executive believe that you can deliver fast enough in of the business. So in this, with DevOps, you can make it 30% faster actually, to make it like the automation and enable the fast response to the issue. Also, another one point, which is reduce the risk of the production. Okay, the manual process usually, okay, making a lot of issue, like because it's keep using the human interaction, and increase the risk for the company, because you are dealing with a production environment with different actually environment. With the automation, okay, you are change this and configure everything once, and after that actually it's like it's became semi-human interaction, or maybe it's actually less human interaction. Breakdown also, you like with the task, you are breaking down the task to different souls, between the communication, between the collaboration between the two teams, or between two business units. So the DevOps can help eliminating argument and finger pointing between these two business units. For example, like you do this, I do this. No, this is your mistake. This is my mistake. So it's like the focus more on the results, more than actually like who did this, or who this mistake for whom. Like the different, a lot of people saying DevOps it's the same as Agile. The answer simply is no. Why?
Hey,
Because
Osama,
yes,
sorry to disturb you. There is some noise, background noise once again. Some
really,
rhymes, I guess. Yeah.
we like the problem. I'm empty in the room. No one actually.
Okay, okay, no problem. Continue.
Okay. Like the main question, is the DevOps the same as the Agile? The simple answer is no. Both are working in different terms, okay, and it would be incorrect actually to say that both are the same, because DevOps it's the concept to manage end-to-end engineering process, while Agile is a process used, for example, to manage complex project. And one of the most essential actually parts of like any successful DevOps, it's to be managed by the Agile. As you see here, for example, Agile is focused on the technical perspective, while Agile it's focused on the project management, such as same, for example, when you are saying Scrum. Uh, DevOps, it's related to the operation and development, while Agile, it's linking between these two business units actually. DevOps also helps like to bridge and the communication and collaboration between all the department, but focusing on the development and the operation as well. In the Agile, it's doing the gap between these two teams, okay, and different teams and the operation in the company. The DevOps also focus, for example, to speed the delivery and the quality, because once you're gonna actually like focus on once you automate everything, you're gonna focus on the quality of the code or the quality of the process or the quality of the task that you're gonna do, because you're gonna have spare time, okay, to do this. With the Agile, okay, it aims, for example, to do what exactly you have to do. Like, okay, I will do this task, but how I'm gonna actually manage this task. This is like the difference between the Agile and the DevOps in general. Here, like, if we're gonna merge DevOps with Oracle, what I'm gonna get? Like, why I should, for example, working with Oracle, or why I should merge for DevOps with Oracle. As a DBA, you have actually a task that keep repeating itself, okay, which is consume your time, okay, and it became boring for the DBA. You can also using DevOps to automate these tasks. This is the first thing. And for example, the task that keep doing a manual work and taking so much manual work, let's assume that patching, upgrade, or an installation on different server or multi-server, or you can automate all of this. The task also, or some other reason that you can, which is eliminate human interaction. Okay, once for you gonna automate something, okay, there is no reason, okay, to keep intervention unless, for example, you have some issue in the code or you have some issue in the configuration. Also, like you need, for example, to upgrade your databases, okay. You don't have, for example, to keep doing the manual way of the upgrading the database. No, all you have to do, for example, is just, we're gonna see how we're gonna do it actually in the front of these slides, okay. But the idea, it's like to minimize the intervention actually of the human interaction. This is actually the good idea about the DevOps and the automation for the DBA. It's gonna like save a lot of time and the efforts for the DBA, so you can focus on other things actually to learn, for example, or other things, for example, like to make it as a best quality. Some of the examples, okay, we're gonna take two of them. Like, there are more tools for the DevOps, but I'm gonna take like the most popular actually one that is using. We have Terraform, we have Ansible, we have Jenkins, we have Puppet, and we have Chef, and we have Salt. Each one of them, it's responsible about different things. For example, Terraform, it's under, as we know, DevOps, it's like one, it's not only under one category. We have different category for the DevOps. We have continuous integration, we have configure management or configuration management, we have infrastructure as code. Terraform, it's related, it's coming under, for example, infrastructure as code. Infrastructure as code, it's a new terms for the DevOps. For example, if you're gonna build a full infrastructure on-prem, for example, or on a cloud, and this infrastructure is include 100 server, okay. In the manual way, you have to create the 100 server, okay, one by one. Or, for example, you will take, for example, one template for one server that you created, and you're gonna start copy this template actually, and they change, for example, the host name, and they change everything, that the network and the IPs and everything. This will take a time from you. Terraform, it's infrastructure as code. You are writing your infrastructure, but as a code. Terraform has a different script, or like, let's say, a certain programming for it. It's very simple to learn, okay. You can build the whole infrastructure, okay, using the Terraform, okay, and it's very simple to see. With Ansible, It's under configuration management and deployment. It's a provide, for example, a large productivity gains like the automation challenge. Okay, and it's very simple to use and powerful also to automate, for example, a complex multi-tier IT application. Ansible also can automate, for example, environment that hosted, for example, on bare metal or virtualization platform or in the cloud. It can automate the configuration range. It can, for example, automate the wide range of systems such as databases, storage, network, firewall, and many others. It's very like common tools. It's open source tools. Jenkins, it's also open source tools. It's under continuous configuration. So the idea of Jenkins, imagine that the development team is asking you every time to deploy the code and to, to take the code and deploy the code in the application server. Jenkins will do this to task for you and gonna automate everything for you for this task. You can integrate Jenkins with different things. You can integrate Jenkins actually with Bitbucket, with GitLab. You can integrate Jenkins actually to do a different task for you, for check the code, for example, with other tools such as Selenium, or you can check Jenkins, actually integrate Jenkins with the security tools to check, for example, the threats in the codes. There are a huge usage for these tools. Okay. Puppet, it's like same as Ansible, but Puppet actually it's agent tool which need actually from you to install the agent on the client. Okay, and it's need a lot of configuration, and I consider this tools as advanced tools. It's not easy to use, especially at the first one, because you need to write a code, and the code could be depend on the environment. If you're using Windows or Linux, it's gonna be dependent. Chef also, it's configuration management tools, and also it's dealing with a machine setup on physical server, virtual machine, or in the cloud. And there are a lot of companies using Chef software to control and manage their infrastructure. And Chef working in three different components: Chef server, workstation, and nodes. These are three components for Chef. The Chef server, it's like the center of the operation, and it's storing and manage and provide configuration for all other Chef components. The workstation is personal computer, or let's say the client or the virtual, where, for example, uh, you have to do all the configuration and code and tested and everything for the workstation. The nodes are the server that managed by Chef. For example, they are the machine that change and push to. Generally, there are multiple machines require, for example, that from you to automate and it manage nodes and the virtual and the container and network. It's very powerful tools. Salt also, it's a configuration management. Okay, it's like central repository. For example, once you bring a new server, this central repository will provision, for example, every configuration to this server and other infrastructure, for example, to make the new changes for this. Here, someone raised his hand. Anyone have a question? Like Amir Khan asked, can we need a separate Oracle license to use a DevOps? No, you don't need one. Actually, it's
I think all the QA can be answered at the end of session. All of them at one, yeah, after the
okay.
session.
Okay, absolutely. Yes,
Yeah,
yes, absolutely.
because there may be more questions coming up down the line until the end of session, and then after that we can allocate 15 minutes to give answers to all of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, like we mentioned, these tools, what is the difference between them? Since Ansible, Puppet, Chef, Salt, it's all the same one, and under configuration management. Terraform, as I mentioned, is infrastructure as code, and it's focused more on the admin job. So it's solving the admin job for you as infrastructure. You're gonna build infrastructure code, so it's focused on the admin job, and it does not need any agent to be installed. All you have to do is install the code or the tool itself, and it's very small. Okay, and start coding using, for example, for me, I'm using Visual Studio Code because you install the extension and it's gonna actually be very easy for you to use it. Ansible, it's same as Terraform, it's agent list, but it focused actually into configuration management and admin job. So what is the configuration management? We're gonna see in now after this slide. Jenkins also is agent list and it's focused on different things. It could be actually focused on development work, it could be focused on admin work, because with development you can automate the deployment. For the development, for the admin, you can automate, for example, different things. For example, you can automate the quality of the code to check the quality of the code, the security of the code. You can automate, you can integrate actually Jenkins with different things. All you have to do is install the plugin and you start using Jenkins. Puppet is agent and it's very advanced tool and it needs some coding. It's focused on development more than the admin work. Chef also is the agent, but it's very common use more than actually like Puppet. It's a focus on development as well. And Salt, it's either you can use it as agent or agent list. It's depend on the situation or the requirement of the client. And it's focused on the admin work. This is like in general examples. This is not the only actually tools for the DevOps. You have a lot of tools for the DevOps, but this is what is the related for the presentation, let's say. So like the question is, they're gonna get to the mind, like, isn't large portion for the DBA work like to learn something new? Well, this act like this will, for example, do a different thing for you: configuration of the operating system, install Oracle database software, creation of the database, configuration of the database, update software, patching, installation and configuration for the RAG, performance tuning. All of this actually is a portion of the DBA job, as we know. With Ansible, okay, you're gonna be able to automate the boring task for you. You don't need actually, as mentioned before, to install any agent on the servers. No, for example, extra work for you, like to learn, for example, anything, because it's very simple tools and there are predefined module with Ansible. And it's like because it's working in agentless. Okay, all you have to do is just configure the Ansible server and that's it. So this task actually, or using DevOps tools, will minimize the DBA job. It's not gonna increase it. You're gonna minimize actually the DBA job, as they are saying, work smart, not hard. So let's mention how the Ansible is working, just to understand how the tools before we're gonna actually go through the Ansible in deep. The Ansible having, like as I already mentioned before just now, which is should be installed on the server only. You don't have, for example, to install on the client. You don't have to install Ansible on the agent because it's agent list. So all the configuration is gonna be over here on the server side. Okay, and on the server side, we have two different things. We have something called inventory and we have playbook. We're gonna explain both of them. And Ansible will communicate actually with each client or the hosts, okay, using SSH. So you need to be configured actually the SSH for this, okay, and it's supposed to be a passwordless, okay. So with the inventory over here, it's like a file, a small file, and focus on this. Inventory is different from the Linux host because it's the same, located in the same name. Okay, inventory is totally different from the Linux host. Okay, with the Ansible inventory, let's explain it as the following. It's file, okay, that define the host group, the host and the group. Okay, that it's gonna be run the command or the module and the task in the playbook, for example. The file can be in one or many format, depending, for example, on your Ansible environment and plugin. The default location, which is etc Ansible hosts. That's why I said actually it's totally different from the Linux host because they are both the same. If necessary, for example, you can also create a project-specific inventory file. For example, if you have one project, okay, you can create, for example, this project, okay, to for this, create inventory for this. The inventory file itself, it can be individual host, or it can be, for example, defined in a group of hosts. What is the benefits of this? This is enable you to define a group of device running, for example, on different OS, okay, and run with the similar rules to perform, for example, the operation, the configuration task. So let's assume that you are managing one or more data center, and you create Ansible group inside Ansible inventory, okay? Like every time, for example, if you're gonna run comment on let's say data center one, you're gonna go to the group A. If you're gonna run, for example, data center B, you're gonna run under group B, and so on. Playbook, it's Ansible configuration. It's advanced thing actually in Ansible. It's Ansible configuration and deployment. This can describe, let's say, the policy that you want from Ansible to do for the remote system to enforce. For example, if you need to do the upgrade, okay, for the database, like the predefined module does not have anything actually for the upgrade. Okay, so you have to write playbook, okay, on Ansible to do the upgrade for you. It's very simple. It's the format is YAML, okay, and it's like very simple. At basic level, Playbook, for example, can be used to manage configuration and deployment to remote machine. This is like at the basic level. At advanced level, they can be a sequence, multi-tier. For example, to do this, for example, to interact and monitor the server and the load balancer and blah blah blah. These things. Playbook, it's YAML format, okay, and it's have like the minimum of syntax, okay, and it's not considered actually programming language, okay, it's like more than scripting, and it's inside this YAML file. It's you are telling Ansible what to do, and how it works. Ansible actually work by connecting to your node and pushing, okay, a small program. This called Ansible module to each one of the client. These programs are written, for example, to be a resource models of the desired state of the server or of the system. And after this, after it's gonna push this Ansible module, okay, through SSH, okay, it's gonna execute them, okay, and then once it's gonna be run, Ansible automatically will remove them from the client server. The library itself of the modules can be located on like any machine. For example, it can be located not necessarily on the server. It can be located, for example, on the client. It can be located on the server. It's depend on the environment or the configuration. Okay, and does not like don't think, for example, because you are configure SSH, so Ansible does not support like a password. It's supported, and even like you can use if you want, for example, a single sign-on, you can use also Kerberos with Ansible. Okay, it's depend on the configuration and the client configuration, but this is like in general for Ansible how it works. As I already mentioned, Ansible is agentless, so you don't have to install anything on the target server or on the client server. Okay, everything is communicating through SSH, so all you have to do is configure SSH for the Ansible. There is something called also facts. Okay, facts in Ansible, it's like a set of variable. Variable, it's like in the programming language, it's a variable actually that can be used anywhere inside your script. So instead, for example, like to use one, keep define and use, for example, keep defining IP, for example, I put a variable or define IP as a variable or the network card or whatever, and start using this variable in whole my scripting. This is going to save a lot of time and organizing actually your code or YAML file or scripting. There are also two levels. as I mentioned in the Ansible, there are the basic one and there is advanced one. With the basic one, you are dealing with something called ad-Hoc command line tool. It's a predefined module. Okay. And for example, if you want to copy, okay, something, okay, to 100 server, you don't have, for example, to go and rewrite something in the playbook to do this. There is a predefined module, okay, in Ansible that you can be used, and it's gonna save a lot of time actually for you. With playbook, imagine, for example, if you will patching the database, upgrade the database, install the database, okay, and yes, you can upgrade the database actually using Ansible, okay, and automated. This there is no predefined playbook or predefined module for this, so you have to write your own playbook for this, okay, to make it very simple for you. All of this actually, it's, with the ad-Hoc, it's beginner level, so you don't have to write a module or anything, or to deal with the scripting. With playbook, actually, you have to do the scripting, and you have, for example, to write a YAML file to do what, like a sequence of the operation that need to be done. How to install it? The installation is very simple for Ansible. It's depend on the operating system, okay, and there are a manual way and there is automatic way. With the automatic way, for example, it's depend on the operating system. With Red Hat or CentOS, all you have to do is yum install Ansible. With Ubuntu, it's, for example, after configure the repository for Ansible, all you have to do is apt get install Ansible, and you should, or for example, you can use Ansible with Python. So anyone actually using Python or programming with Python, also I presented about this before, Python with Oracle, how to merge both of them. You can install and use Ansible actually with Python and start using Ansible with Python to automate things, which is can be installed with pip, install Ansible. Pip, it's like a managing Python package. It's the same as Yum, but it's for Python. So everything actually, when you do pip install, it's like installing the module, but for Python. Okay. And or you can install it using the manual way. The manual way, using, all you have to do, it's just copy or clone the Ansible repository from the GitHub and start configure and using Ansible as a normal. I prefer actually the automatic way, unless, for example, the operating system, like you did not find any repository for it, so you can install using the manual way. And remember, you need to have a passwordless SSH connectivity for Ansible with the client. But that not mean that Ansible is not supporting the password. It supported the password, but it's depend on your configuration. Okay, and it's even like can be configured with the single sign-on. The first one, which is the ad-Hoc. The ad-Hoc is the basic level of Ansible. It's a predefined module, okay, for Ansible, and it's very easy to use. Like it's for example something you need to repeat it. Okay, you can use actually ad-Hoc. It's predefined. For example, if you need to copy file for 100 server, for example, installing rack. Okay, as we know, installing rack, you have to do the prerequisite. Instead, for example, access the files, okay, or 3 server or 2 servers, okay, you can just configure Ansible server and keep it for you as a DBA, and you need to run some comments on these 2 servers. Okay, you can just use ad-Hoc command for Ansible, or copying files, or for example you will reboot the server, or for example create user and packages. All of this can be done actually using predefined module. Or for example, you will configure cron tab on different server. Okay, you don't have, for example, to access to one server, okay, and start copy the code from one to this, or copy, for example, the cron tab from one server to other. All you have to do is using the predefined module using Ansible, and it's working also with the cloud, as I already mentioned. As you see here, there is Azure, For Microsoft, there is EC2 for AWS and so on. You can create also, manage and create or terminate EC2 instance. And the same for Azure as well. You can create or terminate the virtual machine for Azure. One example for ad-Hoc. Imagine rebooting server. Okay, if I want to reboot all the server in my group, like I already mentioned, Jenkins having file called Ansible inventory. This inventory, it's predefined, okay, what server I have under this group. For example, here I have a group called web server. This is defined in the inventory. Once actually I predefined, let's assume that I have 5 server under web server. Okay, this is predefined here in inventory over here. Okay, but instead of a group A, I can put them actually as a web server. Okay, to repeat, all I have to do is Ansible as a command line, web server, mention the group, and run the command reboot. This gonna run or rebooting all the server under web server. So if you're gonna do it in the manual way, you have to access to the 10 server or 5 server, okay, and run the reboot command for it. Ansible gonna save the time for you and just run the command Ansible web server and -a, which is the command line, and reboot command. If I need, for example, to copy the server to the multi-machine, the same as well. Okay, I have, for example, predefined a group, Atlanta or web server, Ansible web server, for example, or Atlanta, depend on the group that defined in the inventory. M, which is I need to copy, okay, the source to the destination. So what gonna happen here? The group Atlanta, let's assume that having 10 server, it's gonna copy the file etc host to all the destination in the Atlanta group, and create, or for example, create, or let's assume create a group. Also as well, I can create a group or users using Ansible ad-Hoc. Ansible, for example, all is also group. It's not a command, it's a group. -m, the user that I need to name, the password, and I can put this will create, for example, the password for all group in the inventory. This is like in general the ad-Hoc. As you see here, it's very simple. It does not need any predefined configuration. It's a predefined module. So Ansible actually make it easier for you. So if you need to copy or predefine, there are a lot of modules than this. Actually, you can just check the documentation of Ansible to do this. It's very simple. The advanced one, which is Playbook, and this is like, let's assume like what it's the DBA is using more. I put here an example, which is for one, I even uploaded to my GitHub if you need to check it. This is like for Golden Gate installation. It's like a YAML file, Playbook YAML file, okay, and it's used for installation for the Golden Gate. As you see here, I have two things you need to know. I have variable and I have rules in this YAML file. With the variable, as I already see, the variable, it's actually like anything between practice like this, it's variable. It's considered as variable and Ansible. Okay. With rules, okay, like for example, imagine you created a playbook, which is create, for example, home directory for Oracle, create the OS user and the group as required by the standard configuration for Oracle. Okay, so maybe you want to use or make reusable this code. Okay, how is this? For example, to do this, okay, Ansible has a concept of rule. Rule is a set of modules that you have been developed before, and I need to reuse it in the multiple playbooks. So instead, for example, Okay, for example here, instead, for example, of keep configure every time the path, okay, I configure this as a rule as here, okay, and I configure the rule in a separate file, so Ansible will read actually this rule from the rule file. This will save a lot of time. So next time, for example, if I will need to install Golden Gate on new server, okay, I don't have, for example, just to reset the path again. Okay, all I have to do is reading from the rule file, okay, and the rule file will do the task for me. So this, Asha, did you say anything?
No, just continue.
Okay, this is like as a playbook, okay, and the format for, as you see here, is sequential of the comment, okay. The comment is responsible to run these for you, okay. The next one, for example, I can use also Ansible to install the database, okay. With the database as well, the installation, I'm configured because there is no predefined module to installation the database. I have to write a playbook mine. I call it Oracle 12c, for example. Also, you can find this on the GitHub itself. I already uploaded. Okay, the host, it's database server. Okay, and the user that I'm using is root, and the rule it's database installation. This is like the tree of the file that you're gonna see. You're gonna have how many files? You're gonna have the file inside it. You're gonna find the software. It's the response file that Ansible will read the configuration from it. Okay, so when you configure also Ansible, you need the response file for the database with the installation. Here you have managed server, two managed server. I configure here the inventory. As you see here, I configure the database servers under database servers 1 and 2, and I configure each one of them, for example, on separate inventory or in separate group in case I need to run only one command in each one of them. Okay, so after this, and I have to here to install, I forget, if you don't actually install Python, okay, on Ansible server, you're gonna get an error actually about this. This is a common bug because I faced it before. So you need to install Python, depend on Ansible version. It's either Python 2 or Python 3. This is the response file for the installation. The response file actually is very simple. You can, like any DBA, can write a response file. It's for example, for the silent installation. It's mentioned, for example, and there is a template for the response file in format while you are copying the media of the Oracle. So all you have to do is maybe modifying the response file. It's having the inventory location, the Oracle home, the Oracle base, the addition of the database, the groups for the operating system, and like anything gonna be run during the GUI installation. But you have to create, for example, the groups using either ad-Hoc or either a manual way. And you can also, as I already mentioned, you can also here create, for example, the response file by copy the response file from the Oracle home and modify it as well as you want, even in Oracle documentation, they already mentioned this. Okay, and this is as already also uploaded to the GitHub. This is, okay, a YAM playbook YAM, okay, for the installation, okay, for Oracle. Even like Pasha actually presented about this as well, and having like a blog about it. This is the error that you will get if you did not install actually Python on here on the server. You will get this error actually, which is Ansible require JSON module none found. Okay, once you can install the Python, the error actually you have to install here, as you see, the Python module as here. Install Python simple JSON RPM, and the error will be gone. This is actually a bug. I don't know which version in Ansible actually having this bug, but I faced this multiple times. So this is as a common error. This is also another examples of using Ansible. Okay, but this is like advanced, okay, using for Ansible. As you see here, I have a different, okay, playbook. This is for the upgrading the database. Also, I uploaded to the GitHub. As you see here, as a predefined, as we already know, the upgrading for the database having, like, let's assume 3 stages: pre-upgrade, upgrade, and the post-upgrade. Okay, so I wrote here a different 3 playbook, okay, which is pre-upgrade and having a different command line, for example, that sequence that, for example, if the database is no archive mode, for example, shut down it and make it into archive mode, and for example, take the backup, and so on. With the upgrade, it's responsible also about upgrading the database, okay, and run what it's supposed to be run during the upgrade, and the final is doing all the tasks for the post upgrade. This is all automated. All I have to do is run just the playbook for the Ansible, and any database actually will be upgraded depending on the version that is defined inside the playbook. If you have any question, okay, please also drop it to the box. Okay, now we were talking about on-prem side, that using Ansible on-prem side, on the physical server. But what, for example, I came to the cloud, my infrastructure to the cloud was on the cloud, on the OCI or AWS or Azure or whatever. Actually, I can use Ansible, but with the OCI, for example, because here we are focusing on Oracle, okay, I can use it also with Ansible. Ansible can create a different thing for me on OCI. I can create a compute instance. I can create database. I can create object storage. I can even launch a compute instance, or I can set up autonomous database, or list object or buckets, or delete objects. All of this, how? Because there are predefined and focus predefined. I don't have to write anything actually using Ansible. It's predefined. There are a module for for dealing with the block volume, with the compute, with the container engine, same as AKS on AWS and AKS on Azure, database, file storage, or dealing with the users, load balancing. It's a predefined module. All I have to do is just using them. I'm going to show you how. For example, in case I need to launch a compute instance, all I have to do, this is predefined task or prerequisite. Okay, all I have to do, it's temporary. Okay, create SSH, and then the public key, I have to upload it, and then upload it here again. This is also a link that it's like having all the examples for predefined Ansible from Oracle itself. Okay, as you see here, using Ansible, this example is related actually to launch the OCR, the compute instance on the Oracle Cloud. All you have to do actually here is modifying, for example, the name, or modifying the size of the block storage. It's very simple, like it's ready to use. All you have to do is copy it and ready to use and run it on the cloud. I can run, for example, also the autonomous database, also having predefined module on the GitHub as well. It can be used, as you see here. It can be listed by, for example, autonomous list all the transaction. I can list all the transaction using actually like display name. I can get the fact of the database. I can stop and start autonomous using Ansible, and I can delete the autonomous itself. It's depend on the self, and actually to run the sample after ensuring, for example, that you have all the prerequisite for the OCI, okay, because it's need a predefined, it's need a prerequisite actually to run Ansible on the OCI. The predefined, it's very simple. It's very easy. It's defined under sample, for example, .yum. You're gonna have actually like the tenant ID, the subscription ID, what the database name, the admin password, the license model, and so on. After you define this in the file of the YAML file, you can connect actually to the OCI, and after this run Ansible file. Also, I can delete the objects using Ansible on the OCI. I can the object, it's what it's saved actually on the object storage. For example, I can delete them. Depend, as you see here, I defined a variable. The variable, for example, for sample bucket. Okay, here I have to define the ID for the subscription, the namespace, also which object I have, which like each object having a namespace. I need to define it. This is a variable, okay, as well, because as I already mentioned, anything between bracket, it's variable. And after this, it's gonna start looking inside them and delete them, and it's gonna print the list for you at the end. We're gonna go actually for the Terraform. Terraform, it's very powerful tool actually for the infrastructure as code. It's the most common tool that it's used for infrastructure as code. There are another tool, okay, also I prefer to use it. And for example, imagine Ansible has like the let's assume this is, I don't know how the people actually probably they assume this or they put this under disadvantage of the Terraform, because Terraform has its own scripting. Okay, like if you know Bash scripting, you cannot use it with Terraform. Okay, there are another tool for infrastructure as code. For example, if you know C++, .NET, Java, Python, there are another tools that allow you to do, for example, this, which is Plomy. Okay, this can use it actually with any programming language tool. The advantage of Terraform, it's very easy of use. Okay, it saves a lot of time, and it can, for example, build the whole infrastructure within 2 minutes only. Okay, it's very amazing tools to be run. Okay, Terraform can be run actually on different operating system. It can be run on Linux. It can be run actually on Windows. It can be run on Mac, on Solaris, on whatever, and it can be run also on any free-based operating system. Here also on the GitHub, I uploaded 2 examples, full examples about the Terraform. And when I'm talking about full examples, you can, like, once you run these 2 repository using the Terraform, you're gonna have a full environment built on the cloud, okay, using the Terraform. With the Terraform, the installation, I prefer actually to do like the manual installation for the Terraform. You can install it by automatic, just using yum install Terraform, or you can copy it from the GitHub. Okay, and that's it. Terraform, it's very basic tools. Like, it does not have so much command line actually, because it's like infrastructure as code. It's based on the code. So, for example, init, it's before running any script or before running any coding, actually for building your code or infrastructure on the cloud, you have to run this to predefine, for example, for you the subscription for you in the cloud to see if the code is correct or not. Once you run this, you're gonna run Terraform plan. Terraform plan gonna show you inside your code what is gonna be built on the cloud. Okay, for example, if you have 10 VMs, okay, Terraform plan will show you these 10 VMs, okay, that is gonna be built on the cloud, and you can review your code from here. Okay, apply. Once you run apply, okay, everything apply here, or for example, auto approve does not need any intervention from you, either this or this. It's gonna be build everything on the cloud for you. Everything that mentioned in your infrastructure as code, okay, it's gonna be run and built on the cloud. Destroy, this is the good thing actually about Terraform also, and what I like here. Imagine you need to destroy the whole infrastructure that you build. If you're gonna do it in the manual way, you're gonna have to access, for example, to the VM, delete or terminate, for example, and go to the network and go to the storage and blah, blah, blah. This is gonna take a lot of time. Maybe you're gonna forget something, okay? With Terraform destroy, anything has been built using Terraform code, okay, it's gonna be destroyed using also Terraform destroy. So these four, sometimes actually you have to put it in case it did not delete or is still in use. So Terraform will delete it for you in force mode. So this is the good thing actually about the Terraform as well. This is
Osama, I think we are running out of time, so try to wrap up early, and there are many questions waiting for you. Okay.
oh yes, okay. I'm gonna try to summarize actually about the Terraform. Terraform actually a best practice having a for file. Does not mean that you cannot have more file. Okay, but I'm talking about the best practice. You have a variable file, you have output file, resource file, main file, and terraform.tfs. Okay, 5 files. Sorry. The variable, it's variable that I'm gonna use it, okay, wherever in in my configuration. Okay, so imagine if I need, for example, to use username and password. I need the user to interact actually and access, for example, the username and enter the username and the password that gonna use with the accessing the server. So instead, I'm gonna put this as a static. Okay, I'm gonna put them as variable, or for example the location of the VM. As you know, if any one of you dealing with a cloud, okay, you have to define the region where the VM will be or where the server will be. This I can make it as a variable as well and allow the user to do it. In other file, how to use the variable like this, var to region, okay, depend on the variable name that I already used. This is like in the variable file. Output file, for example, after creating, okay, the VM, I need output to bring, for example, the IP of the file. Okay, instead go and access menu to the portal of the to the portal. Okay, to the cloud to know the IP of the VM or the server. I can create output variable output file, and it's gonna bring all the IP for the VMs like this. Okay, this is the definition for the output file, and it's gonna work actually like with the AWS, OCI, Azure, any cloud actually. With data source actually it's like where you defined like a subscription, for example, or it's a module. It's very advanced module that allow you to create the resource. Okay, and this is not a file. This is actually a command in Terraform. So this is how to create a resource actually in Terraform, as you see here. For example, availability domain. I create availability domain for myself on the cloud. Okay, and so on. For example, I create an image also from predefined predefined server. Here, the best practice file, I have the main file where you have to create all your resource, okay, inside the Terraform. A variable, for example, as I already mentioned, the declaration for the variable will be over here in this file. Output, the output of the resource from the main file. Everything has been created and has output as a IP or the public IP or the private IP. I can put it here. Here, Terraform, this is like, it's not used. It's not very common use, okay? But you can use it, for example, to define the subscription for yourself on the cloud, for example, where I need to run my code inside the Terraform, because usually to use the Terraform, you have to install the CLI for the cloud itself. If I need to use Azure, I need to use Azure CLI, AWS CLI, OCI CLI, and so on. For example, this is a very quick examples how to create a single web server. Also, you can check the examples from the GitHub. Okay, this is a very quick example here at the main file. You can put everything actually in the main as well. You don't have to create also like four files. It's just as a best practice I'm saying. Here, for example, I defined the version of the Terraform. This is a very important step. You can actually, like, it's optional, but I prefer actually to put it. Provider, which for example, which cloud provider I'm gonna use. I'm gonna use AWS, for example. The region I'm gonna use US. Okay, then I'm gonna create, as you see, a resource group, which is where I'm gonna save my instance. After this, a security, I call it here Terraform example instance. I'm gonna here create a security group, predefined security group. I'm gonna allow a connection for everything. Then I create actually the image from Ponto, as you see here, the MI number. I get this number actually from the AWS itself portal. Okay, the instance type and so on. And for example, here, the user data once, for example, what like the user data, what I have, like once this comment will be run, what I have to put actually inside the VM. Okay, I create index.tmhl and run it inside it directly. Once I'm gonna run actually this code, I'm gonna have a server, okay, for having a web server actually, and it's gonna have index.tmhl, HTML output. Here, it's gonna bring me the output of this server, as you see, the IP, and variable. Inside the variable, actually, I defined a server port, which is 8080, okay, the default one for the HTTP request. And like we end of this presentation, if you have any question, please ask me.
You can check Q&A. There are, I think, 10 or 11 questions. You can answer
Uh,
one by one. Okay. Yeah.
okay. Like the first question, which is, can you need a separate Oracle license to use DevOps? No, you don't have actually, because DevOps itself, it's open source tools. As I already mentioned, some of them, there are open source, and some of them you can pay a license for it. But for you, general, from Oracle side, no, you don't need any license.
Actually, for Ansible Terraform, of course, that's right. Consider if they're using the Docker image, then Oracle.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
that's correct. I'm talking about Ansible and Terraform, but
Yeah.
for sure, actually, like if you're gonna install Oracle database on Docker, this is a different story.
Yeah. Yes.
DevOps need programming or not? Yes, it does, but the easiest one, which is Python, actually to learn. And I'm gonna call it not programming. Actually, I'm gonna call it scripting more. For example, for Ansible, it's scripting. You need to know, for example, the sequence code for the YAML file, how to write the YAML file. But for infrastructure as code, for example, for Terraform, if you're gonna use a Terraform, you have to use, for example, or you need to learn how to use the scripting for Terraform itself, because it's having, for example, like a special scripting for the Terraform. Or you can use, for example, as I already mentioned, Python. Inside Python, you can install the module and start programming using the DevOps, okay, using Python. Because, for example, Jenkins, it accepts Python code. Terraform, there's a replacement for infrastructure as code using Python. It's Plomy, and you can use it with any programming language you know. But I prefer for actually to learn Python, because it's the easiest programming language to use. But without these DevOps tools knowledge, can DBA directly automate for the infrastructure? You can automate actually using bash scripting, okay, or writing script, but it's gonna be like hard for you to do it. For example, if you're gonna like install or upgrade the database, how are you gonna do this using bash scripting? It will not be easy. That's why you have to use third-party tools to do this, okay, which is gonna make it easier for you to make the task for you. For we don't have modules for another question. We don't have modules for Oracle except the cloud. Could you suggest which module can be used to do a repetitive task? God, I don't understand this question, to be honest. Like, what do you mean we don't have modules for Oracle except the cloud? Like,
I think maybe I understood this way. In OCI, there are ways to configure the data guard easily. Like that, there are any such modules in Ansible maybe. Okay, so You understand, right? What I'm saying? So
Oh, yes,
basically,
yes.
yeah. So basically, there are many scripts available online. Even we have one script for the data guard. You can use that and then modify as per your requirement and your environment, basically, right?
Oh,
Or else
yes.
you have to write the code from the scratch. Actually, not required. You can find many actually related to Oracle. Yeah.
Oh, yes, like Oracle on the GitHub, actually, Oracle, for example, Oracle repository, it's uploading a lot of predefined,
Yes.
same as Basha said. Actually, all you have to do is copy and modified. Also, Basha has been on his blog, actually, it's share as well.
Actually, myself and
Yes.
another person, Manovar Mukul, he's also very good in writing the scripting, etc. So we
Oh,
have
yes.
very various scripts actually. No issue.
Also on my GitHub, actually, I upload a lot of predefined, for example, for Oracle, for different cloud provider, for AWS, for Azure. You can use them as well, and you're gonna find a lot online. Actually, just search, for example, Ansible Data Guard, and you're gonna find a lot of predefined scripting. You don't
Yeah,
need to write your own.
yeah.
Can I schedule an Ansible job? Yes, you can. This is comes to the advanced thing, which is using Ansible Tower. Okay, to do this, you can read about Ansible Tower. Actually, you can, once you can read about it or use it, you can schedule a job, and it's gonna give you like a lot of things, such as a job template. It's gonna give you execution, a lot of things to do
Basically,
using.
yeah,
Yes,
we can say GUI based Ansible, right? GUI, graphical
yes,
user interface. Yeah, okay.
yes. If one of the configuration change is filled in one of the hosts, is it possible to revoke it changing in the other host? For example, host 1 has been configured successfully, host 2 configured successfully, uh, and for example, host 3 is failed. So you need to revoke all of them. Actually, to revoke, like you need like to do this. Actually, like let's say by using also, yes, you can do this for sure. Okay, but also you have to write the like a module for this. Okay, for a playbook, for example, if you did the upgrade for the database, okay, you have to write a module, because it's not a predefined module. But for example, if you did anything using predefined job, okay, yes, you can use it as a predefined. But if you write something using playbook, you have to write a revoke module using playbook for it.
Actually, when this person talking about the failed, there is an option in Ansible to verify before actual execution. There is a option, right, where it
Yes.
will perform the prerequisites, everything that script will successfully execute or not. If it's failing, then you can modify the script and then do the changes and ensure the pre-check is completed successfully. Then you can able to deploy the code or deploy the
Oh,
configuration
yes.
successfully. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. But I think actually his question was like, in case something is failed, like
Yeah.
you can verify, yes, for sure, before you're gonna run anything. But for example, yes, you can do this as well. Another question, which is the Ansible job restartable? Yes, it is actually. Like, first of all, it's very like Ansible. It's only like one command line to run the command, so it does not need actually any extra job from you. But if you need to do this, for example, if you already configure this, you have to go to something called Ansible Tower. Ansible Tower is very advanced thing actually to use, and it's like an extra layer to use it actually with Ansible. How often deploying automated using Ansible for open source database? It makes sense, but for Oracle, there's a license cost for every deployment. I know Ansible can make an installation faster. With Ansible, you don't have actually an extra license for that. Okay, and for me, I'm talking about myself actually. For example, uh, like since I learn actually DevOps, I'm using DevOps for everything to automate everything. For example, if I need to install Oracle, even RAG or Golden Gate, as you see in the examples or database, I'm just using Ansible. I already configured the YAML file. Okay, I bring the YAML file, modified it, depend on what I want, I just uninstall it, and that's it, because it's gonna make much easier for me. And in the future, in case, for example, like I need to modify any or I need to install anything, all I have to do is run one command, and that's it. It's much easier, but it does not need any extra license with Oracle. Like it's just installation.
Mm. Yeah.
For production use, well, I'm using actually Ansible for production use. I'm using different tools actually for production use. I'm using Docker, I'm using Jenkins, I'm using Ansible, I'm using even Terraform actually to build the infrastructure. Like we all know, I presented also about this. Like the DBA is evolving job. So like every year you have to learn something new. At the first, okay, I start working with 7i. Okay, the only thing that we have to know is database. After this, it came application server, web logic. After this, virtualization. After this, it's evolving job. So you have to learn to keep actually with a track with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Development focus face admin focused. In DevOps, admin focused, it's like, let's say, infrastructure work. Okay, for example, if you're gonna build the infrastructure, networking, storage, object storage, these stuff, actually, this is called admin work. With development focused, you're gonna go to something called continuous integration, continuous deployment, such as you're gonna use different tools, Jenkins, Circle CI, Pampo, and so on. This is focus on development because you're gonna automate, for example, QA. You can automate actually the QA job. This is actually development focus, not admin focus. Admin focus, you are focusing on the infrastructure more than what the development do. But if you're gonna learn DevOps, I prefer actually to like at least to learn one tool from each category. DevOps having a different category, as I already mentioned: configuration management, infrastructure as code, continuous deployment, continuous configuration management. It's having 4 or 5. Learn at least one tool, and some of the tools actually can do like 2 in 1 for you, same as Jenkins as well. Can you please share use the cases where Terraform and Ansible can be the best? The use cases for Terraform, okay, like for example, one of the client came to me actually like last week. Okay, they have a huge enterprise infrastructure. Okay, and they want to replicate the infrastructure. Okay, you are talking about 100 server on the cloud. Actually, they are on Azure. Okay, and they want to replicate the infrastructure for other customer. Imagine if you're gonna build this infrastructure that having 100 server manually. What are you gonna do? It's gonna take from you like at least 2 weeks just to do this, and it's gonna make for sure error because you're gonna forget something. With Terraform, okay, all you have to do, just once you're gonna write the code once, it's gonna be easy for you. The first time it's very hard because you're still new. Okay, with Terraform, all you have to do is writing the code, and you're gonna run the code wherever you want to use it. You're gonna build a new infrastructure, and you can check my GitHub. Actually, you're gonna understand more once you're gonna see the examples of the Terraform, how it's gonna use it, and the Ansible. For Ansible, actually, it's configuration management category. For example, if you need to configure something such as an installation for Oracle or RAG or whatever, instead of using this manually, you're gonna use Ansible. Chef is the same as Ansible, but it's having actually more thing to do, and it's agent also. It's agent, so it's dependent on the agent, but it's for like a lot of company actually using Chef more than Ansible because Chef it's very powerful tools actually. I don't understand this question. Proudly, like for day 2, day 3, operation task are concerned.
I think there is a question related to the same one, the same user asked. I think the related question maybe.
Okay, DevOps in Oracle can consider as a DBA or As I already mentioned, actually, the question is DevOps in Oracle can consider as a Oracle DBA job admin task as another task in the organization. DBA job is evolving. Now everything actually, as you know, it's became more faster for you. Okay, and you need to keep on the track with the IT. DevOps as a job with the DBA, you have to learn some tools actually with the DBA. You need to automate things. It's not like before. You have to do everything manual. Even autonomous actually start doing everything automated, and it like for you. So you have to learn something, okay, extra with the DevOps, like with the DBA. And it's not wrong, like DevOps actually, it's not only for Oracle, it's using with the cloud, it's using on different things, on the prem, on the cloud. It's gonna save a lot of time for you. And it's like, now it's the most demand job actually, like in the last 2 years. As a DBA, which of the DevOps tools we have to learn. For me, actually, like the easiest one to use is Ansible. Start with Ansible. If you're gonna love Ansible, actually move to another category, move to Jenkins, move to Terraform. With Jenkins, also you can automate things for you with DBA job. So, like, but at first use Ansible because it's having a predefined module and it's very easy to use. What is the best DevOps tools in the Oracle EBS on-premise environment to deploy customized objects such as, for example, for this question, actually, he's talking about continuous integration, continuous development. The best tools, actually, it's using Jenkins. So you can actually deploy the customized object for yourself, but you have, which is related to previous question, you have actually to do some scripting. You have to do either using scripting manually or you have to use Python to do this, because there is no predefined module in Jenkins for EBS, but you can write your own script to do this. But you can use Jenkins for sure for this. Okay, wait, for the GitHub link, I did not mention it. For the GitHub, the GitHub, I mentioned where here. Okay, I'm gonna send it to Basha, and Basha will send it to you.
Yeah, sure. I have other both of the Git links I will send. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Oracle Enterprise Manager Cloud Control used for only for database operation. No, it's not only used for database operation. Actually, you can, with Enterprise Cloud actually control, you can monitor everything that you need for operating system, for patching the operating system, for different databases. It's a full monitor tools actually, like solution. No, as I already mentioned, it's open source. It's not licensed. There are licensed products for DevOps. You have to buy them, but Ansible, it's open source. Jenkins is open source. Terraform, it's open source. So you can use them for free. There is no extra solution. Is it possible to automate the table space management and user management like password reset and users themselves by providing specific link or URL? Like, I don't know if I understand this question actually like correct, but if you mean like table space management, like data files, there are actually like by Oracle, it's already automated to do this. There is no need actually to automate this task. For example, even the undo table space, actually there's a parameter actually to manage this automatic. No need to intervention from the DBA unless you put it actually, for example, the extension for the data file is manually. Hi, can I please share? Yes, I'm gonna share actually the GitHub with Pasha, and he's gonna send you the link. Yes, Ansible is running actually on any platform or any operating system any operating system on Windows or on AIX free-based, so you don't worry about this. Okay, we don't have any other question. In case you have any other question, this is actually my information. You can contact me on my blog, on my LinkedIn, or my Twitter. Okay, and I'm gonna send the link for Pasha, and Pasha actually will send it to you.